Welcome, people. Now, Laurie spent about 10 minutes before we started tonight saying who's going to introduce it, and after his introduction last week, I didn't let him get near it. So
I'm not allowed to speak anymore.
He's not allowed to speak. Just before we came on air, actually, the language was all over the place. We were talking about very lavatorial things.
From Simon, not me.
No, yes, but...
You're the biggest child in this.
Abby joined in, didn't she? She went into fits of hysteric.
Don't pull Abby into this argument, you'll lose.
Are we going to get Abby? Is Abby going to show her face this week? We don't know, guys. We really don't know. Now, because I have no idea what I'm going to say.
I'm scared of her.
Can you not talk when I'm talking? Because I get very upset, you know that. It's no good you grinning at me. It's socially distanced manner. So we're here. Great to see you guys. Welcome. Lots to talk about. Lots of new... In fact, one big new thing has happened this week, which we'll talk about later on. And life goes on. So it's over to Laurie now because I have no idea what I'm talking about at all.
See, this is why we don't let him introduce things anymore, because he doesn't really know what's going on. So, as many of you know, the main topic of this one is going to be wildlife events that you can see in the UK that are really big at the moment. But before we get into that one, we've just got a quick video of a rescue that we did that is kind of topical for what we're going to talk about. So here we go.
Well, we've had a call about a deer. The lady in the house was distraught because it was screaming. It's in a gate somewhere, so... Oh, and there it is. Oh. Okay, let's go and see what we can do. I'm going to get past it and cover its head. Then we'll come back and put it out this way. All right, sweetheart. All right, I know. There we are. Right, that might just take a bit of the pressure off it. It's not badly hurt. All right, come on, sweetheart. Come on. There we are. Come on. Come on. Okay, come here. Come on. Come on. All right. Come on. I know. Now, that's silly, isn't it? Are they in the back garden as well often or not? Yeah. Okay, I'm probably just going to let him go straight from here because his heart's beating out. I just want to check there's no major wounds on his sides, which I'm sure there's not. Oh, even for such a little deer, they've got a very big kick. All right, fella. I've just heard a huge bellow from the mum, so she's out the back, so I'm going to let him go straight out this way. It should be fine. Gonna go and see your mum. Go on then. Go and see your mum. You're free now. Go on, off you go. Go on, you're free. Look at that, off like a racing car. That is spectacular. Let's go and see what's going on. Oh, look, they've met up together. Oh, I can't ever describe to people what an amazing feeling it is. It's just so special. That is a beautiful, beautiful sight. See them all going off. Here come the horses to meet them, bounding through the next fence. That is so beautiful. I bet Mum's pleased to have a baby back. We turned up, the woman was very distraught. This deer was screaming, but we were able to release it just so quickly and straight out into the wild again. That is just spectacular.
Well, that was one of the nicest rescue releases I've ever done, and in fact it was a shame because, like most cameramen we have here, they missed the very best bit. Was when the youngster got to the end of the garden and he met Mum very quickly, and you saw them sort of getting together and really close up, and then he ran after her. It was just so beautiful to get something like that where that animal would have died if we hadn't have caught it. And then you can let it go, it runs straight out, and to find its mum just like that, which I've never actually seen before or since, it was just quite spectacular. I love things like that, so it was absolutely beautiful, and I had less wrinkles then because it was probably about at least 5 years ago now, and my hair wasn't quite as grey as it is now, and if Laurie laughs, he's going to be fired. I've had some, in the chat, I've heard that I've already been nasty to Laurie in the first minute. What you don't understand, guys, is that he spends 2 weeks being nasty to me, and this is the only time I have to get my own back. So I'm getting all the insults I can as fast as I can because I've just got this 1 hour to be nasty to Laurie. So it's yeah, it's been an interesting week actually, Laurie. I know I'm going to now jump right out of order because looking at that deer going off, we've had 5 deer RTAs in the last few days. Laurie and I went out to 2 of them in the last 3 days really, and all nasty. One did manage to stand up and we let it go, and it wandered off, and you know, I hope it would be a good release, but it was all 4 legs worked, it was standing, it was ready to move away, but the other sadly had broken legs, broken limbs, broken back, and it's quite tragic. At this time of year, particularly to those of us in England, deer do seem to get more mobile at night. They seem to come out as soon as it gets dark, when of course there's still traffic around, and these calls that Laurie and I got actually were gone midnight, I think, both of them. So, you know, when you're driving at night, just keep an eye open, and if you actually look very close, if you're watching and driving carefully, you can see in the distance often sort of just an orange light flashing in the distance, and that'll be the deer's reflective eyes coming back at you, as it does with foxes. So if you see that on the side of the road at any time, immediately slow down, because you know you are going to possibly potentially hit wildlife, and it's very worrying. And also with deer, if you see one cross a road, there's going to be more. They usually move in at least 2s or 3s, sometimes even bigger groups. So if you see something, just slow right down, because there's going to be more coming across at you probably. So I hate rescues like that. I mean, deer anyway have got the most, they've got big soulful eyes, and when you can't save them, it is really hard work for us. It's one of the worst parts of our job, to be honest. People say, well, at least you can give it a dignified quick death rather than it's taking days to die. Yes, we can, but it still doesn't feel any less after 40 long, hard years, 5 of which have been having to work with Laurie Brayley. What more can I say?
It's also, we're getting to the time of year where we actually are going to see a spike in deer, fox, RTA calls, and it's mostly because of the clock change. So if you're not aware, around about October each year here in the UK, we have the end of what's called daylight savings time, and the clocks will change by an hour. And because wildlife doesn't know that, we're active at different times of day. When they think it's safe, it's actually not, and we always get a huge spike in the number of calls we get to RTA deer, foxes, badgers, a whole load of things. So please, if you are driving, especially over the next couple of weeks, please be careful.
I've taught Laurie so well over the short time he's been with us. The other thing, guys, also, and I don't know why, but if you look over many years, wildlife also gets more active if it's a full moon. So if you've got full moon and you're out, it's a bit of a double whammy. So, you know, just think, if you're driving either side 3 or 4 days of a full moon, wildlife seem to travel more, they seem to go from place to place more and get more active. So be careful of that as well. So drive very carefully, please.
So, what's been happening over the past week? Before we get into the main meat of this one, what's been happening here? And I know you know, because there's a list in front of you.
Only because you gave it to me about 30 seconds ago.
Well, it's been printed for about an hour, so.
Lots of young hedgehogs, many with fly strike. It's written on my piece of paper, guys. It's written on my piece of paper. So we've had baby hedgehogs in, second brood hedgehogs coming in thick and fast. Often in the winter we overwinter up to, we've got capacity for 400. I think our maximum has only ever been 200. But these come in, they get these are fly eggs, which you're seeing now on the screen. They're going to turn into maggots on a warm room within hours. So you need to get them off very quickly. You need to spray the animal so hopefully the eggs don't turn into maggots, and we sort of deal with that. And I did one actually not that long ago. We were out there at 10 o'clock at night getting thousands of little fly eggs off this little baby hedgehog.
And it can literally be thousands.
It can, it is
filled
thousands.
Dishes of them, yeah.
And they will be in with us. Hedgehog of that size will be in with us now for the winter, and as I say, we can overwinter up to 200 of them. I'm going to go into my quick spiel now, but it'll be very quick, very fast. They all eat a lot of food, it costs a lot of money, they have to be heated, but we love hedgehogs. Population decrease of 96% since the early 1950s, so they need all the help we can get. And a lot of people say to us, well, you know, so what, 100 hedgehogs, 200 hedgehogs, what's the difference? We actually did some sums a while ago, and we worked out that if for every 100 hedgehogs we save over a winter and let go back out to the wild, in 10 years time, that's taking everything into account, mortality rates, problems, cars, everything else, that's probably another 35,000 in 10 years time. So if you think if every centre in England had 100 hedgehogs to overwinter, that would be many thousands. In fact, you know, you could get a population back up by about 500,000 in 10 years if everybody does it and everybody could do it, so we get the population back. So rather than going on any more with that, you know, they're lovely creatures, they're the most iconic creature we've got, they're the most uncontroversial mammal we've got, and we love our hedgehogs. And in fact, I think next time we come on air, we're going to be speaking to a man who has done something for us and for you to benefit from. So yeah, hedgehog talk will be a bit more prevalent in the next YouTube chat.
Yeah, we'll tell you more about that towards the end of this one as well. So stay tuned for that one.
We might not, Laurie. I just want to knock him off guard. I love knocking Laurie off guard because he suddenly falters for a minute because he doesn't know what's coming next. You might shave before the next YouTube, perhaps, Laurie. You're looking a bit scruffy. You're looking a bit of stubble around there, boy.
So it says the guy who literally just before the chat started said, "I just had to shave for this one."
I did. I always shave.
That's the only reason I'm doing it. You combed your hair and you had to shave before we went on.
I haven't got much to comb, Laurie.
Using webcams.
It's a very short comb. It's only that long, so I only had to comb about 3 hairs. So what else have we had, Laurie?
We've had a lot of foxes at the moment. So we have several here at the centre, and most of them are suffering from something called mange. So you may know of mange already. Mange is a disease caused by the sarcoptic mange mite. And they burrow under the skin, cause intense itching, and the itching causes the fox to actually itch out an awful lot of its fur, causes a lot of scabs and really sore wounds, and can lead to severe infections. As you can see from this photo, the eyes can crust over, as well as the ears, and it can be quite a nasty way to go for a lot of foxes. Luckily, it is treatable if you catch it early enough. So the ones that we've had in at the moment are all on courses of treatment. They're all sort of separated from the main animal population we have here at the centre, but they're doing well, and hopefully they should be ready for release very soon.
A lot of people say you could, if you get a fox with mange, you might as well kill it because you can't cure it. Well, you can. Mange is actually the same as scabies. Humans get scabies. It's exactly the same mite, and it's not actually the mange that kills it. It's all the secondary infections because the skin cracks open. And then you get obviously infection setting in, and that's what kills the animal. It's not the mange that kills the animal, it's all the open wounds from the mange if it cracks the skin open, and it's pretty horrible. But it does have miraculous cures. You can see from that picture, you can see a fox coming with mange. It looks and smells horrible. Laurie and I often drive back with a fox with mange in the car, and it really reeks. It's nearly as bad as Laurie when he hasn't bathed for a couple of days. But it's curable. It's curable. We can get them better. We can get them back out again. So that's what we do.
Another big thing that's happened over the past week is actually we've released the last of our badgers. So I know you're quite a fan of the badgers. Despite what you say, they are your favourite species that we deal with at the centre. That is 100% true. And the last of our group actually has gone out to their soft release pen and is now successfully back in the wild. So this is a set that we sort of dug into the ground, and currently it's fenced in. And we'll continue to feed them just so they get used to sort of their diurnal rhythms and the other badgers that may be there, and then those walls will be taken down. We'll continue to feed them over the course of the next couple of weeks, and eventually, a couple of months actually with badgers, and we'll wean that off, and eventually they'll be completely self-dependent and they will be back in the wild. And I believe we've heard from just down the road from where this site is, our badgers from I think 2014 were sighted again recently, so at least they're still doing well.
Some keep coming back. In fact, the first 7 we released, which was about a month ago now, when we took their starter home wall away, several of them stayed in the set, but the others went out only about 350 yards away to an old disused set, and they've been opening it up over the last 2 or 3 weeks. There has been video of it, which we've been sent by the Badger Group. Laurie, behind the times as always, hasn't got it out there yet, but you will see some video of the badgers actually now reopening that set, taking down straw, taking down everything ready for the winter. So that will be a set that's been disused, now back in use again, and they will obviously move back and forth, and the other badgers wild in the area will probably come in and join them. So a nice ending to a nice story. You will see the video one day at Laurie's speed, maybe not for a couple of years.
You'll see it on the 27th of October at 3 o'clock. There you go.
That's because Abby's going to do it, isn't it? That's because Abby's
going to do it. That's because it's on the schedule board.
Yeah, well,
I know exactly when it's going out.
So badger's gone well. So now we don't see any badgers here or any young badgers here. I think by probably February or March next year we'll have our first babies in, and we start the circle all over again. I think, although it's sad to see our animals go, and especially the badgers go, what you've got to think about, it's nice that the circle of life, we'll see new ones coming next year. We do the same for them, and they'll go out as well. So all pretty cool, guys. It's all pretty cool here at Wildlife Aid.
We've also seen quite a few young rabbits. Now I know Angela Warren is in the chat. She is one of our many very, very devoted rabbit carers that stay up for many, many hours.
Laurie, what you've got to say of Angela.
She has a very appropriate last name.
She is really our bunny girl. Angela is our bunny girl. I just thought of that. I thought that was quite witty. Whether Angela will think it's witty, I've no idea. But perhaps she should start wearing a little fluffy tail to work, and then we'd know what's going on. And I better stop that before I go
we're
too
off the
far.
air.
Off the air. We've gone again. No, so
Moving
Angela
on.
works, I mean, tirelessly. She spends hundreds and hundreds of hours looking after our baby rabbits. They need to go to one person. She's very good with them. She's excellent with them. And, you know, she will spend sometimes all night feeding baby rabbits. I mean, I wouldn't do it for anyone, but she's very dedicated. Like most of our people here are dedicated, insane, but we love them because without them we wouldn't be here, guys.
So, other than rabbits, we've also had a slightly unusual visitor. So, every so often we get something that we're not particularly used to seeing. So, last live stream, the most unusual thing that we had was a shag. And that is a bird, so clean your mouth out.
I'm not going to say anything, Laurie, to that. I'm not going to say a word.
This time, it was actually a siskin. So, this little bird, often confused with greenfinches and things like that, is a siskin. It's a female, I believe. That one arrived after flying into a window. It was quite stunned, but spent a bit of time in an incubator, had some fluids, some warmth, bit of food, and was doing really well last time I checked on it. So,
and
yeah,
in the
that's
old
probably
days,
the most unusual one we've had recently.
In the old days, people used to say the siskin was the smallest British bird. But Laurie will correct me in this, and he will tell me that... Oh, Laurie.
I'm not saving your skin if you want to...
Goldcrest is the smallest British bird, so I understand.
I didn't think you knew. I didn't think you were going to know.
No, Laurie,
you under
after
the
40
bus.
years, you'll never catch me out. So Goldcrest is the smallest bird, very, very similar in size, but they are tiny. I mean, you think a wren's small, but siskins are tiny, and Goldcrest are just that tiny bit tinier. So there we are. So
Well,
Laurie,
we actually, when Ricky
again.
Gervais was down here several years ago, he was asking Simon to identify birds, and Simon couldn't do it. I believe we have that clip
bird's a
somewhere.
bird. Birds, it doesn't matter what it is. I just save them. That's the weird thing about this. It doesn't matter what it is to me. It doesn't matter what species it is. It could be rare or common. An animal's in trouble. We're out there to save it. So that's absolutely fine. Sadly, or luckily, there is only one Laurie Brady. So I recognise him, and I've also got him in my ears tonight. And that's a fate worse than death. Have him in your ears so you can't escape from it is really.
You'll escape me in about 45 minutes. There you go.
Absolutely. So what next, Laurie? Let's move
just
rapidly
what Angela
on.
has said as well, rightly so. Big shout outs to Dawn, Terry and Nikki as well, who are our 3 other rabbit carers. So they are currently dealing with the influx of rabbits that we've got at the moment.
And it's not only rabbit carers, to be honest, it's all from the young swifts and swallows are dealt with by, you give me the name because I've lost it and I do know
Leslie.
it. Leslie, that's the one. They just spend countless hours. I mean, I cannot believe, if somebody said, do you want these for 5 days, you're not going to sleep for 5 days, would you do it? I'd tell them to go forth and multiply. I couldn't handle it, but the hours they dedicate to it. And imagine if you've got 5 or 6 rabbits or 5 or 6 baby hedgehogs, you know, each one takes 5 or 10 minutes and they need feeding every 2 hours, guys. It doesn't take, it's not rocket science to work out. They really don't get any sleep on those nights at all, which is why I don't do it. I'm so old, I need my kids to sleep.
Young rodents as well. So people like Alice, who's our office sort of manager, and Naomi, who's our hostel
office
coordinator.
sort of manager. She's going to love that one, Laurie.
That's because last time I said office administrator,
Yeah,
and I was
you did.
accused of demoting her.
Yeah.
So she is our admin manager, I believe is the official job title, even though no one ever does what their job title actually is at this point. But they take a lot of our young rodents, as does Myra, who is in the chat, so hello Myra. And some of those can need feeding every hour, every 2 hours, and that's right through the night. So often you stop at maybe midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, you start again at 6 in the morning. With rodents, that's not the case. You have to go right the way through, so there is no sleep for those guys.
It's been a long day's night, and I've been
God, we're going
working
peoples.
like a rodent. It's been,
Okay.
sorry.
On that note, we have a couple of clips to show you as well. So we may look, and I know we don't, but we may look professional on the videos that we actually put out on YouTube, but that is not the case at all. So here is a little collection of bloopers that we've had over the past couple of years.
This badger has...
What? It was a badger the whole time?
this is what happens when a cameraman parks your car, his car, in a stupid place. To get into my car, you become a mountaineer. I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to get halfway down and get stuck.
Right, so this hog was found in a clay hog. Clay hog.
Our most experienced rescuer forgot to secure the cage. Fox comes out of the cage, sitting on back seat. Put all the nets away and the poles away, and the keys down there, and somehow the car's locked itself automatically, which is really annoying. So now we're well screwed.
I grabbed them all.
Howard.
That one.
Oh, we?
Yeah, I thought I'd take them all.
Thank you very much. Ooh. Very slippery floor.
Hedgehogs are so endangered now, and so many of them don't make it through hibernation if they're not tall enough. We recently got a call to rescue a family of grey-lag geese that had been seen walking around in a residential.
Oh. It just took a poo on my head.
We think it's in the foyer. I'll start that again.
That's spring run.
We did it!
Well, as you can see, it doesn't always go to plan, but the one that sticks in my mind of all of those is Mr. Brayley driving my car into a field at 3 o'clock in the morning, going down a hill, not realising that it was getting very boggy. So we had to walk out, and you know I'm old.
It was a deer, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know I'm old. We had to walk out. It took us about an hour to walk back to the road, which was a long way away. And then we had to go back the next morning with a mate of mine with 2 four-wheel drive vehicles to extract said Volvo from a very boggy piece of land. Laurie does really need to take driving lessons, and certainly off-road lessons, because that was a nightmare, and I will never let him forget it.
I'm sorry, but you
ever.
almost bogged down a Land Rover in the news site about 2 weeks after that. You managed to escape, but you were so close to calling me.
And then another car got stuck down there, so I said, Laurie, can you take the Land Rover and extract that car from the field? So Laurie took the Land Rover to extract said car, and he got stuck. So we had 2 cars stuck, and Simon went down in his Volvo and pulled both vehicles out of
No,
that
you had a
wet
snatch
field
line from about
with
150 metres away. You
That's
were on
fine.
the pad.
So I'm sensible, I know what I'm doing. So Laurie Brayley and driving do not go hand in hand, or steering wheel to steering wheel. There we are. So bloopers are always quite fun. We always make a lot of mistakes, guys, especially when we're doing bits in the car, or we're doing voiceover, or something goes wrong. It's part of life, and actually on all films I love the bloopers best. The bloopers are always the best bit of any film. So we'll try and show you some more of those. Some are actually
We do have
unrepeatable.
more coming over the next couple of live streams as well, so stay tuned for that.
Difficulty with these really is normally when a blooper happens, my language is absolutely very blue, very lavatorial. So you might hear a lot of bleeps going on when we do put them out. But no, it's fun. I mean, life here is fun. You couldn't do it if you didn't enjoy it, and you couldn't do it if you didn't let off steam sometime. So as Laurie will tell you, going and from rescues, my language is very lavatorial, and Abby often is in the back of the car when she's with us, just blushing profusely at the sort of things I'm talking
you
about.
just get eye rolls.
Shaking my head in disapproval.
Yeah, shaking her head in disapproval and disappointment.
Disappointment is,
As many people have actually said in the chat, she is the parent to the 2 children that are on camera at the moment. So,
Abby, we just need you to come across now and just show us a quick head shake, how you would be in the car when we're upsetting you. So come on, come across, because everybody loves seeing you. No,
she's going to kill you.
No, she's got to come across, because
This is my disproving head shake to you
This is
right now.
Abby disappointed.
Abby disappointed. But there, I think
She's
next
the
week
only adult here.
I think we should let Abby present it all next week. I think that'd be quite cool.
Absolutely not.
I think Adam should pay us to let Abby present it next week. So Adam, get your money out. So I don't know how much money we've had in, but I noticed this time, for the first time ever, Sven had actually produced his €100 before we even started.
Yes. So Sven says, sorry, I can't make it today. I will watch it later. Best wishes from Berlin. So for those of you who don't know Sven, which is probably about 2 of you at this point, Sven has been on this live stream since we began, well over a year ago. And every single one, he donates at least €100, which is absolutely incredible. He has been down here himself. He actually flew over himself, he's a pilot, from Berlin to come and say hi to us. So yes, big thank you to you, Sven. I hope everything's well, and hopefully we will see you again soon.
If everything goes well, we could actually plan it so he could fly into 20 acres next time, couldn't we?
We'll end up bogging down the plane in 20 acres.
No, just get some skids on his plane, so it becomes a seaplane, and he swans into 20 acres nonchalantly and gives us €100. I think that works quite well. Sven, let's work on that one. There he is. There's the man. Look, all that money he keeps giving us.
Yeah, he came over having donated to all of our live streams and gave us another £100 when he was here.
I don't like Sven
incredible.
because
Thank
he's
you
a
very
pilot
much, Sven.
and he flies planes, and I miss flying planes and I miss flying things. I love flying and I love flying helicopters as well, and sadly, working at Wildlife Aid, I can't afford to do it. I always want a wildlife helicopter. That would be so cool. Not very environmentally friendly, but it would be so cool to go on a rescue in a helicopter. That would be quite far out. So if anybody's feeling wealthy who wants to donate us a helicopter, I love flying helicopters. It's my most exciting thing in the world, next to rally driving, and I still give Laurie lessons in that because he can't even drive on a road, let alone on a field. So there we are.
That's not true. He's the only person that I'm genuinely terrified to be in a car with.
That's how it should be,
I'll leave
Laurie.
that up to your imagination. He was driving when we had the crash.
Yeah.
I would have a crashed. Right, so just before we get into the main part of this, we need to say thank you to a couple of people who have actually donated. So thank you once again to Sven on there. Alice has donated £10. Has put, been keeping myself sane by watching hours of WAF videos recently. I'm not sure that's a cure for insanity. It's more
keeping yourself sane or insane.
Yeah.
I think it causes insanity.
It causes we cause insanity. So I apologise for those of you we've corrupted. Guess I should give a little back. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind. Mostly Sane, quite appropriate considering what we're talking about, has donated £10 as well. Thank you very much. And Biscay08 has donated 250 Swedish krona. So thank you very much. They've put, thank you for all you do. Thank you very much. As we say every week, we don't get any government funding at all. We rely entirely on public donations, and with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, they are down by quite a lot, so the help of people like you is vital for us to keep going. So huge thank you to every single one of you that supports us in any way you can.
Give us the money, and if you think you're going to die, guys, make sure you leave a legacy to Wildlife Aid. Terrible thing to talk about legacies, isn't it? But it's any major or medium-sized charity survives because of legacies, and I think the difficult thing for us is obviously we get this money through. And the thing which I feel most sad about is you can't just ring them up and thank them. You can thank the family, that's fine, but to the person who actually did it, you don't get an opportunity to say thank you to them, and I think that's quite sad. So to anybody who's thinking about it, let me thank you now, because I know I might not be able to thank you afterwards.
Yeah. Someone's put in the comment, rowing, planes, rally driving, any vehicles you can't use, Simon? Bear in mind, he can't use any of them. He may be licensed to be able to use them, but you're terrified by being in any of them with him.
If you saw my driving licence, Laurie, I'm actually licensed, because I took my test so long ago, before there were even
cars. Because you were born around the time of the Big Bang.
I can drive anything. I can drive a tank. I can drive lorries. I'm licensed to drive everything. I've got my thing on my driving license. So many bits on it that I can drive. It's quite fun, and I can drive them all perfectly. It's just that Laurie hasn't got the bottle to stand it.
He does have an advanced driving license. I hate to admit it, but you do have an advanced driving license, which you passed the day after your test or something.
I've got advanced senility as well, but you know, it doesn't count for anything.
There is that.
Absolutely.
So just before we get into the main part of this one, we're now about halfway through the live stream. I have. Just having a couple of questions that have already come in. So a few people have been asking, how is the new project going? The new build on that we call 20 acres, but it's mainly called the Wildlife Aid Centre.
It's going fine. It's going heinously slowly. We seem to have spent hundreds of £1,000s on reports and all the stuff we had to do to get it to where it is, which is such a waste of money, but we have no choice. We are going to start the build. We're going to start the build of the wetlands within the next couple of weeks. Sadly, we feel it's going to be a bit wet for that, so what they will start to do is build the entrance road this side of Christmas, and then as soon as the weather gets better and the other side of Christmas, they'll start to build the wetlands, which should be finished within about 16 weeks of them starting, depending upon weather. And then obviously there's all the planting to do. I think the planting allowance has been, I think they've allowed £150,000 to plant all the trees and reeds and shrubs and everything we need. So if anybody feels like helping with the new centre, if anybody wins a lottery this weekend, you'd be amazed how nice I can be to you if you win the lottery. I can do anything you want for that. It's a big cost. It's 6.5 million, and obviously with COVID times which we're in now, corporates and most people are going to be very careful how they spend their money, so the funding is going to be tricky. So I think personally, I still have always believed it's going to come from high net worth individuals. So if you know anybody you can ask, if they've got an interest in what we do, I don't care what we call the centre, they can name a building, they can do anything they want, but this new centre will be stunning, I hope. Well, not hope, I know it will be, but getting the money to do it is going to be the big trouble. Once the wetlands built, they will take 3 or 4 years to mature, but that will make it look a much nicer like it is now, and will give great cover to all the wildlife around. It's a sort of our little bit of rewilding, if you like. It's our IDOT. Really, WAF has developed over 40 years, and if you look back now, when I thought about IDOT about 5 years ago, really WAF has been one big IDOT for us, and this new centre is an IDOT. And I was thinking the other day, actually, all our volunteers who come in and work for us every week or whatever, having shifts they do, every time they come in, that's actually their IDOT. They're putting something back, they're doing something for the environment. So to all of those people, start getting the IDOT counter moving. We're working quite heavily on IDOT at the moment. Abby's cracking away at that. And so with a bit of luck, we can get to our, what did I say it was, 23 billion actions a year if everybody in the UK just does one small action a day. And I won't say IDOT food chain either. It will make a massive difference. We always think we can't help, but actually if enough people get together and do something, it will make a massive difference. I'll shut up now, Laurie.
Ron Cook has asked, hi, have you ever thought of opening different wildlife centres in different parts of the country?
We've been asked a few times about that. I often advise people setting up a new centre, they often ring or email me in, and I will spend a considerable amount of time telling them my experiences, because hopefully if they don't do everything I did wrong, they'll get it going quicker. Fundraising is always the hardest thing, getting the money to run the centre, and I think the other big thing to say that if you do start something, don't get too big too quick, because you've got to be financially able to sustain it. So many centres sort of go cracking out there and they haven't got the money to sustain it. Even some long registered charities, you know, they don't have enough money in the bank. I'm a real miser, so we're very careful financially, and I think it's important that any charity is financially sustainable as well as doing what it does. So just think hard, but anybody wants advice about starting a wildlife centre, I'm very happy to give you time. If it's in a country that I always want to go to, I will come out personally at your expense and give you the vast knowledge of all the things I know. That would be fantastic. I'd love to go again. I haven't been abroad for ages and ages. We'd love to go abroad again and do some talks. But there we are. COVID times are such.
Presenting that.
COVID presentings, I'd have to wear 18 masks. There we are. Right. Next one, Laurie, off you go.
Actually, if you were interested in masks, we actually now have our own Wildlife Aid branded masks as well. So if you would like one of those, please head over to our website. Abby will put the link down in the comments on there. Head over to there, and I believe they're available in green, purple or black. It is one size, and they're currently being modelled by Jane Fallon and Ricky Gervais, I believe, our patrons who are very kind enough to model them for us. So if you do want one of those, please head on over to our website. We have, they've been going quite well. We do have a few left, so please jump in before they disappear. We've had quite a nice comment actually. So Birdie Mum Carol, it says, but I'm so thrilled I finally caught you guys live from California. Just want to say thank you so very much for everything you do to save all those beautiful animals. What a lovely comment. Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure, and we love doing it. And we had some lady on the live stream the other night, I was told, who told me this today, that it was absolutely nuts, and she came on and she was ringing on the phone and Lou was talking to her. What we should do, if anybody really wants to chat in person on the live stream, send us your telephone number, tell us what your question is, and we will chat to you live on the live stream. We can do that, can't we, Laurie?
We can. We
can
can
do
that
that.
one, yeah.
We can do anything we want, really. And if it doesn't go right, it'll be Laurie's fault. But
It
no,
always is.
anybody's got a question. It'd be quite fun to do a bit of live stuff on live stream. Actually talk to people for real. Unless they're nasty
Give it a
to
go.
me, then I shall just cry.
No, only I'm allowed to do that.
Okay. See, he admits that he is nasty to me. See, he admits it. Go on, keep going, Laurie.
Yeah. One more question before we get into the main part, which is what did you all do before Wildlife Aid? So do you want to go first, Simon?
There is no life before Wildlife Aid. It was just a precursor to the main event. I was in the city, hated it. I set up Wildlife Aid 15 years before we actually took it over totally. I left the city after 15 years of doing it, and there was no, I don't even remember life before Wildlife Aid. Having said that, Laurie, I don't even remember yesterday.
That is true.
And I don't know who I'm talking to. I can see a person on my screen now talking to me. I don't know who it is. I've no idea.
No one knows who I am.
He's very ugly.
Everyone's here for you. I'm just here to sort of prop you up.
Now we've got to be a bit nasty to Laurie now, because his mummy got very upset today, because she said, we were speaking and she said, I haven't seen Laurie for weeks. So I turned the camera around. He got really upset that I turned the camera. Laurie, you ought to ring your mummy or Skype your mummy so she can see your beautiful face, because she loves you, Laurie. I don't understand why she loves you, but she does.
You are insane.
Yep. It's the way to be.
So Abby, what did you do before you started here?
You have to
I
say
put
this
her on
on
the spot
screen,
now.
Abby.
Yeah, very
I put her on the spot.
I worked in Formula One magazine printing. That's a bit different, isn't it?
There you go. Worked in Formula One magazine printing.
But we need to see if she can't talk unless she's on screen, Laurie.
Oh,
Sorry,
she's
that's it.
done her one. We're not going to get away with it again.
Adam will give us lots of money if you come on screen again, Abby. Just a little Abby face. Come on, let's see that little smile once more, and then I'll shut up. Come on, once more.
It's very mean. This is called bullying in the workplace.
Peer
Okay.
pressure.
It is. It's 100% peer pressure.
I'm not going to say any more now until she speaks. So you're on your
That's
own,
good.
Laurie.
So we can actually have a live stream that is professional and well thought out, and that doesn't completely go off topic. Because now that Simon is not in the picture, even though we can still see his ear on the back of his head, we can actually start working through the things in the order that we meant to do them in. So, yeah, before Wildlife Aid, I was actually a flying otter researcher up in Scotland. No, I used to work with big cats, and before that I was a scuba diving guide in Sardinia. So
That was quite witty for you, Laurie, actually. That was quite funny.
See, we got you talking as well. Okay, so moving on to the main part of the talk today, which is wildlife events that are happening currently in the UK. So there are several that are happening right now. Autumn is a really good time to go out and see wildlife doing what it does best. The main one of these that I think we know of at the moment is the red deer rut, which if you're a photographer you'll have seen thousands of photos of this over the past couple of weeks. So every year around this time of year the red deer and actually the fallow deer will compete with each other for breeding rights, and it is an absolutely fantastic thing to watch. Two stags that probably weigh about 200 kilos smashing into each other with enough force to shake the ground, and as long as you are sensible and you stay away, don't get close to them, don't think that taking a selfie with a stag is a good idea at this time of year. They're very testosterone fueled animals. You can actually see one of nature's, in my opinion, one of nature's best spectacles on that one. Would you agree with that? I know you wouldn't go up near a red deer rescue with a barge pole.
No, I'd send you on that. Who are these awful pictures that we're looking at, Laurie?
Oh, I don't know. I found them on the internet.
Yeah, I think you must have done, because they're pretty poor quality. As, you know, can't do pictures like. Laurie's actually a very good stills photographer, guys, so he has got a lot of images. He would sell them to you if you ask him nicely, and then we get a percentage of it. So Laurie's got a massive. You've got your own website, haven't you, as well?
Yes, I do.
And you're going to tell us what your website address is, aren't you, now?
It's www.co.uk.
So you're doing Wildlife Aid out of income now? Not very, no, honestly, go on to Laurie Brayley's website. He's got some amazing still images, mainly of British wildlife, but I think you've got some foreign things there tucked in, haven't you, here and there?
Yeah,
and of course, the best one and the
Finland
most
and like
rare one of all is, of course, the flying otter. But just as he clicked the shutter, it was out of frame.
No, the wings disappeared. I don't know why. It's just I happen to have caught the one angle where it just looks like a regular otter. I'm really disappointed.
Such a shame.
I will be going back.
It would have been worth something. Well, he goes back. He goes off on the red deer. I don't see him for a week. And when he does come in, he was up at 5 o'clock in the morning to capture these images. He's useless all day. He might as well not be here. He's asleep on his desk most of the time. But the rut's finished now, isn't it? We're right at the
We're just starting to get to the end of it. So the red deer rut is just starting to tail off. The fallow deer rut will be going on for a few more weeks. That tends to be slightly later. And then if you want roe deer don't have quite as much of a rut, but the main part of that is July to August. So if you want that, that's unfortunately going to have to be next year. Main places in the UK, the main ones of course are Richmond Park and Bushy Park here in London, but there's also a lot of places up in Scotland as well, and there's a few places like Tatton Park and stuff like that in the north where you can see them as well. I would highly recommend it, but please do be sensible because people are gored by them every year.
Wasn't there an incident recently at Richmond Park where somebody got too close and got attacked?
Yeah, they were trying to do a photo shoot with a deer in the background. The deer ran up and kicked her in the back.
Sorry guys, serves you right. You don't ever try to get that close to wildlife. It is wildlife. It's not used to people, and it's got other things on its mind, and it's a bit, as Laurie said, a bit testosterone fueled at the moment. So stand clear, enjoy it for the beautiful thing it is. It is spectacular to watch them, and it's not only the watching; it's the noises they make,
the bellow,
the snorting, the bellow, and you obviously early in the morning you see all the you know they're when they breathe, Laurie. There's not fumes. What is it coming out of their nose?
I'm not helping you out of this.
Oh, okay, well you never do help me out of anything, so there we are. No, but it is a spectacular thing to see. Spectacular thing to see. But the noise and the smell, to be honest, because there is a smell to it as well. It's spectacular. Apart from badger poo and fox poo, which isn't so spectacular. What else is going on, Laurie Brayley?
So the other thing that's going on at the moment, and this is just starting to go on at the moment, is the grey seal breeding season. So grey seals at this time of year will come to beaches. There's several of them around the UK. The main ones are Horsey Beach up near Great Yarmouth, and Donanook, which is an old RAF base up in Lincolnshire, I believe. There's a few other places as well that you can see them. Again, would highly recommend doing it, but at this time of year it's when the females will come to give birth to the most adorable pups I think you can ever see, and will then, once the pups have weaned, will then mate and head back out into the water. The males obviously come for a slightly different reason, and they will have some quite dramatic fights on that one. They will be fighting hard enough that it will shake the ground, but it is all for these little guys. These tiny little pups. So they'll start now. There'll be about 1,000 pups or something like that by the end of the season, and that will go on till late January-ish. So if you wanted to see those, obviously with your local lockdown rules permitting, I would highly recommend going and doing that as well, because that is a fantastic place. Once again, most of that happens in the early morning. Same thing with the rut. So if you don't mind getting up for sunrise, I would highly recommend it.
You see the youngsters on the beach. I mean, when I went to Skoma last time, there were youngsters on the beach, and there's the place where I dived. I've forgotten the name again now, which you might remember. Farne Islands, that's right. There's lots in the Farne Islands, and it's a great boat trip because you not only see seals, but you see puffins, Manx shearwaters, whatever. You see lots of birds out there. Going to Skoma for a day trip is just spectacular. In fact, about 5 years ago, we filmed a whole bit on Skoma, which still hasn't seen the light of day, so I blame Laurie for that as well, even though he wasn't there when we did it.
That was before I was even here.
I know, it was. But it was an amazing trip, and I mean, you do get to see, in a day, you get to see some images which will stay with you for a lifetime. Absolutely beautiful, and the puffins are beautiful, all the fish, all the little sand eels in their mouths as well. Pretty damn spectacular, guys. You've got to appreciate nature, because it's much better than we are, really.
We'll definitely agree with that one. So before we move on to the next one, a couple more questions have come in. So Aviation Spotter has asked, is there an animal that you feel is too dangerous to rescue? And don't say me.
I was going to say Laurie Braley.
I
No,
was one step ahead
nothing
of you.
is ever too dangerous. Is when you rescue any animal, whatever it is, to be honest, you treat it with great respect. If it's something that is that dangerous, if you went out and somebody said you've got to go and rescue that lion, you obviously go out with the right equipment, you go out with the right tranquilizing equipment. Nothing is too dangerous to rescue, but you've got to go with the right kit. As with any rescue, you've got to have the right kit with you. So no, there's nothing too dangerous to rescue if you know what you're doing. And I spent 40 years not knowing what I'm doing, so I'll rescue anything.
There's a debate going on in the chat at the moment about whether or not you should feed wild animals. So what's our stance on that one?
Do you really want to start me on
Don't
that
get
one,
into
Roy?
the rant.
You did that on purpose now, didn't you?
So someone's
Actually-
talking about feeding jam sandwiches.
I've had 2 conversations about that this week with people. The real answer is no, you should not. The only possible exceptions are if something's really ill and you need to get medication into it, then obviously for a very short period of time, if it can take the medication in food, do that. You've got to try to feed as much to a natural diet as you can, but should you feed wild animals? I'm now going to upset all the seed people at the moment who gives all this bird food. You don't need to feed birds in the summer. Yes, they like it, it's easy for them, that's great, but they don't need it. When they do need it, birds particularly, is in the winter, very sharp frost or lots of snow. Yes, they need it then. But what you don't want to do is get animals too dependent on you. And I'll cite my 2 major stories on this. One is, if you do feed an animal all the time, it's going to lose its instinct to hunt, which is bad news. And then if you were to get ill or go on holiday or move, and the next people move into your house and don't like wildlife, we have had instances where they sort of shoved a garden fork through the fox because they didn't like them. So yeah, you've got to be fair. You've got to love the animals from afar, but ideally don't feed them. I know everybody's going to poo-poo this comment and they're going to go on doing it, but just try to cut it down a bit. Don't make them too dependent, and just remember, if you fall ill or you move away or something happens, that animal's going to be in big trouble. So enjoy them from a distance, and I'll try to stop there, Laurie, without going any further.
The other thing as well, especially with things like the jam sandwiches and stuff in the chat, is whilst, as Simon says, we don't recommend feeding wild animals unless it's absolutely necessary. If you do, please make sure it's as natural a food as possible. So things like dog food, dog biscuits, cat biscuits, stuff like that. Don't do jam sandwiches or biscuits or anything sweet. Foxes, unlike us, they can't brush their teeth. And we've seen several instances of animals that have been fed sweet things, honey and things like that, that actually end up with significant tooth decay. And if they lose their teeth, there's no second set, they won't eat and they will starve. So please, if you are going on that one.
Hedgehogs are particularly vulnerable to that. Hedgehogs,
Yes.
People feed hedgehogs, they feed them soft food only, and we have so many hedgehogs in which we know have come from someone's garden, and their teeth are just absolute wreck, awful. If you're going to feed hedgehogs at all, even though you shouldn't, make sure they get some small dry biscuits as well, because they need that hard stuff to clean the tartar off teeth. Just like you give your dog a bone to chew, it needs to keep its teeth clean. So yeah,
And
try
please
not
don't
to,
feed
guys.
hedgehogs mealworms either. On that one.
I'm going to leave that as it were, because there's a lot of discussions about that. So
There is
we'll
a
leave
lot.
that under advisement. We'll leave that under advisement for now. A small amount of mealworms is not a problem. To give it mealworms and nothing else, like any animal, give it the same thing every day, it would be bad. But mealworms, there's a bit of a debate going on.
Yeah,
at the
it's all
moment
about nutritional balance. It's like the great bread debate. Rebecca Rabbit 32 has put, do you guys turn off flash when photographing animals, and does it harm the animals if you use it? So I don't know about you, Simon, when you've been taking photos, but I personally
You tell me I
don't
can't
use
take
flash.
photos. You tell me all my photos are out of focus, so I'm not going to
That's
say
because
that I
it's true.
do or don't. What do you do, Mr. Brady?
I personally, I
Award-winning
don't use flash.
photographer.
I especially when people are talking about using flash, they're talking about nocturnal animals or animals that are sort of more active in the night or anything like that. I personally don't like it. So any of the stuff that I've done with urban foxes or owls or anything like that, if I do have to use a light, I'll have a static torch. So the animal knows where the light is, chooses to go into it, can react to it perfectly fine. It's not a sudden change. There is a debate about this in the wildlife photographer community. But in general, I tend to think that even a momentary blinding of an animal is not something that I'm particularly happy with. So no, I don't use flash on that one. I think would you agree with that one, Abby?
I would agree.
Yeah, Abby would agree with that one as well.
And to be honest, I mean, not everybody can afford it, but there are professional cameras out there now which will shoot down to such low light. In fact, when Laurie came in, I really want an A7, a Sony A7 would be nice. And he just bullied me and wore me down till I bought him an A7, which will shoot down.
You bought that completely randomly, out of the blue. Don't blame that one on me.
No, I blame it on you, because I would never have bought one if you hadn't have asked for it. But what does that shoot down to? It's got the most amazing capabilities.
I've shot that at sort of 64,000 ISO. Like midnight in a forest doing owls. It's absolutely incredible the sort of low light performance you get out of them now.
You sure it was animals you were shooting and not anything you shouldn't have been shooting, Laurie?
That stare is all you're getting.
No, I mean, yes, you can shoot down to very low light now. In fact, the A7, which Laurie's got both video and stills of, is amazing. I mean, they are expensive because they are, but they're not mega bucks. We bought one second hand. And it's pretty.
And you can hire them. You can hire them. So there's places like Lenses for Hire and Hire a Camera and stuff like that, where you can hire these cameras, even the big top end £10,000 cameras, for 50 quid, 100 quid for a 3-day hire. It's certainly worth it, especially if you're thinking of buying one. I hired a camera and lens last week to go and photograph the deer. So yeah, certainly would recommend that one.
But if you want a Sony A7, I think we've got about 15 of them, because Laurie keeps squirreling the A7s away.
We have one.
Is that
Most
the Mark
of the
1 or the
equipment I
Mark
use
2?
is mine. It's the Mark 2. There's now a Mark 3.
You're not having. You're not having another one. No.
Question: do all swans have the same colour when they're young?
Yes.
So I think that's referring to the fact that young swans are actually this sort of greyish brown. They tend to get, even the young cygnets are mostly grey. They tend to get a bit more sort of browny orange when they're getting towards looking like a swan, and then they'll go white, but they'll have a grey beak, and then after about a year or two, that beak will change to an orange beak, and they'll look like an adult.
You know what causes that?
Is it
when they start drinking alcohol, they get
accurate?
very red in the beak when they drink too much alcohol.
Yep, it's going to be a dad joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I did
so they're
try
all pretty much
and
the same. And they always say the ugly duckling because swans are ugly. Cygnets are the most beautiful, fluffy creatures you'll ever see. Spectacular.
Whoever called them an ugly duckling is very wrong on that one.
You can call Laurie an ugly duckling anytime you like, and he's an ugly swan as well.
I'm definitely an ugly duckling.
It hasn't got better with age.
Izzy R has asked, is there a treatment for mixomatosis in wild rabbits?
There is a treatment, but it's a yearly thing you have to give them, so you can't do it. I mean, you can give your domestic rabbit the treatment and it will stop it getting it, but for wild rabbits there is no point. It's a bit harsh to say, but you're not going to catch every single rabbit and give it a vaccination every year, so sadly there's nothing you can do. And it's a grotty disease. It's a very slow death for the rabbits to get it, and they can linger for weeks if not months before they die. So a horrible disease, and something which sadly we can't do anything about. And I wonder who invented that. Oh yes, mankind again. Good old mankind. We're cracking on here, guys.
Yeah. So, back to some of the things that you can see round and about. And one of my favourite things in the entire world to watch, and we are very lucky enough to have seen this just after we release an owl, is Murmurations. So, usually this is starlings, but it can be a whole load of other birds as well. I believe we have blackbirds when we did the one down in Guildford. And it's when all of the birds, they'll come down to roost, but they'll form these spectacular aerial displays in the sky. Beautiful patterns. There's actually a photo that won a category of the Wildlife Photographer of the Year a few years ago that was actually a group of birds that made a bird in the sky, which was quite
it's sad, really. I'm going to be fussy now, Laurie, because you've shown a video of that. The sort of the skills and the artistry when you see these things moving around in the sky is spectacular. So perhaps we'll get you a bit of video to show next time, because they are absolutely spectacular when they fly.
Yeah. This bubbling mass.
It's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. Would highly recommend that. Places you can see, there's a lot of places up in the north, places like Minsmere and Leighton Moss, a couple of RSPB reserves up in the north. They're fantastic places to find them. There are a couple of places down south as well. There's a lot of them in Scotland. But if you just try and have a look for sites local to you, I would 100% guarantee it's worth seeing, because it's absolutely spectacular.
But you can see them anywhere. You're not going to see such massive ones, but you see them anywhere. In fact, was it with you, Laurie, before your time? We went out to Guildford to do a rescue, and there's a murmuration of sort of starlings out there, and it was just spectacular to watch. So you had two groups, they merged into one, they sort of did all the aerobatics, then they went into two again, and we just spent about half an hour. We didn't do the rescue, we made it wait until we'd seen the murmuration, because it was spectacular. We actually have got video of that somewhere. Whether you could find it, I've no idea.
We do. It's actually out on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
Well, so if you want to see that, you can have a look on YouTube. I'm not going to ask Abby to try and find the link, because it's about 3 years ago and it'll be a lot of trawling. But if you want to have a look, stick it in to the search on YouTube.
There's nothing like a good murmuration, is there, Laurie? That's what I say, you know. Never miss a murmuration when you can. Go on, and the next one.
The other thing to see, and this is mostly up in Scotland, though you can find this in places like Alaska and stuff as well. I know you, for a start, would love to see it in Alaska. Is the salmon run. So every year, salmon will actually swim back upriver to the rivers that they were born in, I believe, a lot of the time, to breed. Unfortunately, they will spawn, and most of them would die straight afterwards. But it's an absolutely spectacular sight to see all these fish. And you see them in this photo here, just how many of them that are making this journey. And if you are lucky enough to see them in Alaska, you will actually see brown bears, or grizzly bears, I believe, actually, trying to catch them out of the water. And I know it's something that Simon has wanted to see for the majority of his life.
It's one of my bucket list things to see brown bears on the salmon run in Alaska. And I keep mentioning it. I mention it, everybody, get me out there, guys, get me out there. We'll make a video, we'll do everything. I love it. It is on my bucket list. And I haven't got a lot of time left, guys, so I've got to get it done quite quick. Love to see it. I'd love to see that.
Wonderfully morbid topic of conversation then.
I'm not sure
Abby's actually posted a link to the murmuration video in the chat. Incredibly quick fingers, well done.
Well, you know.
This is why we pay her the big bucks.
The big bucks. So there we are. So you can see that as well. But salmon run, yeah. Anybody? I want to go. No, stop talking. I want to go to Alaska. I want to see the salmon run. I want to see the brown bears. I haven't done enough work with brown bears. I absolutely adore them. So yeah, it'd be really good to do it. Anybody's got any bright ideas? Get in touch, guys. We're on the end of the phone.
The last thing as well that's happening at the moment that is a fantastic thing to see is red squirrel foraging behaviour. So there are a certain number of pockets around the UK that still have red squirrels. So things like Formby Point up towards Yorkshire, Brownsea Island as well, the Isle of Wight, I believe.
The Isle of Widget. The Isle of Widget.
What was that? Widget. I'm not going to ask what you mean by that one. But at this time of year, all the squirrels are gathering food for the winter. That's both red and greys. So if you wanted to see them running around with a mouthful of nuts, Abby's finding that quite hilarious because she's a child. Even Simon's not laughing at that one.
You just have to see that there are a couple of places. No, Laurie, just you know, everybody blames us men for the things we say. There's there's Abby in hysterics. She won't even show her face now, I bet.
I'm tempted to actually show her on the camera.
I think you should turn the camera around.
She's got tears in her eyes, apparently.
I think you should turn the camera around and show her. This is the sort of people we have to work with, and the women are worse than the men by a long way, aren't they? Look at them. Look, she's hiding. Look, she's in the dark. You can't even see her. But no, I mean,
she's quite
pretty good. They always hide their nuts. They never get back to them. So this is why we have so many forests in the wrong places, because they dig them all in. They're very pleased with themselves, and rather like me, they've no idea where they put them.
So over the past couple of minutes, we've had a whole load of new donations in. So thank you once again to every single one of you who was donated. As I said earlier, you really do keep the lights on here. So thank you very much. Let's go back up. God, there's loads. So if we'll get back, so Biscaya08 has donated 250 Swedish krona. Thank you very much. I believe you've done that one already. Emma Asp has donated 100 Swedish krona and has put for some off-road lessons for Laurie. As long as Simon's not my instructor, I would be more than happy with that one.
I will take Laurie out rally driving one day. I will take him out in the car, and I will. If he wants to know what scared is, I will make him scared. I've rally drove.
That will be the day I'm no longer on this planet.
15 years I did rally driving. I miss it like crazy. Not quite as much as missing helicopters, but I still miss it a lot. It's just phenomenal. I mean, it is phenomenal to drive like that. It's just so fun.
We've had 350 Danish kroner from Len Nielsen, who's put, thank you for your continuous rescues. Thank you once again. You are a regular on this live stream and donate all the time, so huge thank you. That's so kind of you. Ren Chimmers has donated 50 Canadian dollars. Hello from Canada. Has put, hello from Canada, thank you for the years of wonderful videos, education, and I hope for many more. I don't think we have any plans of stopping anytime soon, but thank you very much for the support, Noel.
Actually, we had more Canadian dollars because we just set up a campaign, haven't we, Laurie? Because we have, when we do anaesthetics here, we have to use gas to put the animals to sleep, and we use isoflurane, which is not the newest one, and I've actually, it's gone right out of my head what the newest one is, which is really annoying. We'll get Abby to Google it quickly because I can't think what it is, but isoflurane is still quite modern. We used to use other things before that, something else before that. Halothane we used to use, so it's developed. But these containers only last for about 10 years. It's quite a big bit of kit, and that is what gives the animal the anaesthetic gas. And we've got to get 2 new ones. We've been told that ours are way out of date, and they need renewing. They're about £600 each. We've got a peel out on Just Giving, so if anybody feels like giving some money to that would be fantastic. We need 2 of them. Like we always need kit. I mean, some kits, sadly, I would have used these for a lot longer, but we get told off by the people who service it that they're way out of date. So isoflurane containers are very important. And on that very strength, we had Susan, who used to be my PA many years ago when she was young and I was even older. George and Susan gave us the first, I think it was the first $100 Canadian towards our isoflurane containers. So thank you both for that. It would be nice to speak to you. I keep ringing you. You never answer the bloody phone. Susan, you're the worst of all. But thank you. It'd be lovely to see you. If you come over to UK, if you can, when you can, it'd be great to see you again. But thank you for that. Our patients will be very happy. And if Laurie doesn't stop talking, I'll practice on him to see if the isoflurane works properly.
Okay, so if you want to support that one out, Abby has put the link to the campaign in the comments, so please click on that link, go over and see what you can do on there. A huge thank you to anyone who does on that one, because it is a very vital piece of equipment that we do quite urgently need to replace. The other thing to talk about as well is we have finally, after many years of you guys asking us, launched a Patreon page. So for those of you who do want to support us on Patreon, we do have, it's www.patreon.com/wildlifeaid. Again, Abby will leave that in the comments. And we have 3 different tiers. Currently, they all contain the same thing. It's up to you how much you want to pledge on that one. That is entirely up to you. But we'll be giving you behind-the-scenes tours as well. A lot of clips that haven't made it to YouTube, early access to certain things, and you'll get wallpapers and photos of some of the patients that have come through our walls over the past couple of weeks, months and years as well. So if you do want to help us out, please head on over to Patreon. And if you want to, we actually did a behind the scenes video of the setup that we're using right now for this live stream that will be going live on Patreon very soon. So if you do want anything like that, please head on over to the page and support us on there. And thank you to anyone who does.
I think what we should say, Laurie, is anybody watching is going to be over 18, because if it's behind the scenes clip, it's either going to be an awful lot of bleeps, or you're not going to be able to watch it, because Mummy and Daddy would get very cross at some of Simon's language. Appalling. Very lavatorial. Very unfortunate. What we should do is we should video one of our trips to one of our rescues one day, because the things we talk about in the car are just unthinkable sometimes, and Abby just blushes in the back and goes very quiet.
Abby's the only adult. She really is. she agrees. That's the thing.
I'll take that.
She's wrong. She's wrong.
A whole load of more donations have come in over the past couple of minutes as well. Penelope has donated $5. Huge thank you to you, Penelope. Ali TK has donated £20. Thank you very much. Kies van Spelde has donated €25 and has put greetings again from the Netherlands and keep up the good work. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. And greetings from the UK as well. It's very wet here at the moment. Flutterby0704, who once again is a regular on this channel, so huge thank you for your support, has donated £1.99 as part thank you for the hilarious blooper reel. I'm glad you enjoyed it, so thank you very much.
There's many more of those, many more. And then we should say actually now, Laurie, while we're talking, there's a mystery lady who we know who doesn't live too many miles from here, who always promises to give us money if I give her a genuine smile. So I'm trying to give a genuine smile.
You don't do genuine smiles.
But
you do genuine cynicism.
Isoflurane containers are very important. So here is the Simon smile. Not too genuine,
that's
that
creepy.
one. I did
That
my
is really
best. I
creepy.
did my best. Perhaps it'll just prompt her to give us a bit of money towards the isoflurane containers. You never know, Laurie. You never know.
John has just said in the comments, I am a Nikon user. I am as well, actually. So I shoot on Nikon as well. Abby's more Sony and Canon.
Canon.
We don't like that.
Canon, the only
We actually
camera
use
store.
Canon here at the centre, but yeah, I shoot on Sony. My girlfriend shoots on Canon as well, so I'm vastly outnumbered. Scottish Astronomer has donated £25 and has put, thank you for all your hard work. Your work is still harder than rocket science. Thank you very much.
Has
we
she
will
finished
agree
the
to
book?
disagree on that one.
Has she finished the books yet? We have to ask, has she finished both
I think
books?
she finished them last time. I think
Yeah,
she
she
said
did.
last time she'd finished them.
Yeah, no one wants to read it twice.
I want her critique and her reviews of both books on my desk by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Adam Warner, who you may know as the husband of the person sat over here, has donated £9.99.
Oh, not again!
Yeah,
Can
again.
you go
I heard
away
that
from
the other room.
$9.99? He's such a
He's put-
cheapskate.
He's put, Laurie, your pics are fantastic. Thank you very much, Adam. That's very kind. I shall pay you for that one later. And he's put, on another note, please tell Abby that she needs to pick up some prawn crackers with our takeaway tonight. So, Abby, please pick up some prawn crackers with the takeaway tonight.
I will. I'm getting tired.
She will. Getting Thai, apparently. So if she doesn't, you've heard it here first, that she said she would, and then she'd forget. So Imogen has donated £5, has put, love the work you do. Huge thank you to you, Imogen. And Birdie Mum Carol, who actually is, this is her first time catching us live, so hello once again. Has put, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your love and care for these animals in need, and has donated $24.99 in US dollars. Thank you so much again. So, last couple of questions. We are going to start winding it up in the next couple of minutes. So, if you want the last couple of questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll be doing this for only a couple of minutes now.
While we're
Hazel
doing that,
B.
Laurie, we need to talk about volunteer receptionists. We're still short, aren't we? We're short of volunteer receptionists, particularly for Friday and Saturday evenings and Sunday mornings. So if any of you aren't too inebriated at the end of Saturday evening, you can get up early on Sunday morning. Our receptionists are another one of our lifelines. Everybody here is just as important as everybody else, from the maintenance guys to the receptionists to the people who clean all the poo out the cages. Without them we couldn't function. So, you know, if you fancy a bit of a stint at Wildlife Aid, you will pick up so much knowledge. The book we give you before you even start is about that thick of information you need to know and information you need to give out. And I think
we do all on-the-job training as well. You don't just know anything in advance. We'll do everything here. And as a receptionist, you'll not only be answering the phones and organising rescues and things like that, but you will be admitting patients, transferring patients. It's very hands-on with the animals as well.
You haven't mentioned that I give them a 5-hour exam, Laurie, before they start.
That's not true.
I'll tell you, I think, to be honest, and I'm not being big-headed now, I think we give out probably the best Q&A, the best information of any centre in the UK. That is I'm bragging, but I honestly believe it's right. And you know, if you one of our receptionists, you will know pretty much everything there is to know about how to rescue, what to do, what not to do in certain circumstances. So a great job, very rewarding, and you will save lots of wildlife. So we're going to talk about Bonfire Night, aren't we? We're going to talk about Bonfire Night now, because I'm rushing you through now, Laurie. You know I'm giving you the push now. Coming up quite soon. Two things on that one. Firstly, obviously you're going to build a bonfire. Please make sure you rip it down the day you're going to actually light it and make sure there's nothing gone in it, or put a very tall fence around the outside of it and make sure nothing's gone under it, because hedgehogs do tend to go in there because they're getting near their hibernation time. And if you haven't bought fireworks yet, guys, please buy fireworks. I would rather not see fireworks at all because of all the nasty stuff that comes down out of the sky, but if you're going to have them, please have silent ones, because not only does your dog or cat get affected by them. In fact, my daughter's dog goes absolutely ballistic and is in a terrible state with his fireworks. But also with wildlife, it scares them to death. So try and do that. So bonfires checked before you light them, and fireworks, please, if you can, use silent ones. And sadly, the next item on the list, I've got to give Laurie yet another plug, which really sticks in my throat. In fact, I think it's more Abby than Laurie. I don't know who did the most. But Abby and Laurie have done a calendar for 2021. It's the most amazing pictures. I don't know who took what, but they're well worth looking at. Great pictures. All
it's about a 50-50 split, I think.
50-50 split. Well,
all the good ones are Abby, or the out of focus ones are me.
I can understand that. I believe that without any doubt.
That's a lie.
So it's still for sale, guys. Lots of animals there. Lots of things to do. And any of those prints you want to buy, just a print of any of those or any of Laurie's prints. Abby, you should start selling your prints as well, I think, really. I think it would be worth it. You never know.
You're starting to pimp out both of
I
us.
don't think
I am.
it's any.
I tried to pimp out me and everybody was sick, which is very upsetting.
Oh, God.
I offer my body out
Moving
regularly.
on.
People pay me not to offer my body out. And the last thing is, you mentioned masks already, haven't you?
We have, yes.
Done
If you
masks.
do want one of our face masks, please head over onto the website. They're available in green, black, or purple,
Purple.
actually,
That-
on request from our hospital coordinator, who deeply loves purple. And again, thank you to Jen Fallon, who's pictured, and Ricky Gervais for modelling those as well. We've had a huge uptake in mask sales because of that, so thank you very, very much. 2 more donations have come in as well. So Pia Blake has donated 200 Swedish krona and has put, the funniest bit about the salmon runs in Alaska and the Yukon is watching people and grizzlies jostle, trying not to get too close to each other for space on the rivers. Thank you so much for all you do.
They're
Well, thank
obviously
you very
not
much.
wearing
That's
their
quite
COVID
interesting. I'd love
masks,
to
are
see
they?
that.
We have to wear the COVID mask. If you're going to go
What,
in
the
the salmon
bears?
run, yeah, the bears and the people should wear COVID masks and then they'd be safe. A grizzly will not come at you if you've got a mask on. So I'm told, reliably informed. So I'm gonna try it with you. If you put a mask on and go close to a grizzly, I just want to see whether it goes for you or not. No, probably
I'm
not.
not trying that. I'm not.
We're
trying
nearly
that.
there now, guys.
Zulu has
always,
donated $20 US
off again.
and has just put a heart as well. So huge thank you there. That's very, very kind.
Is that heart directed at you or me or Abby, Laurie? Who's the heart directed?
It certainly won't be me.
Well, it won't be me.